Well, my dad was born in the 1940s in Ireland, and everything that encompasses. So he was honestly from like a different generation. He was just a real strong, tough, independent guy who was a really wonderful father, but an even better grandfather. He had 14 grandchildren in all, and really came into his own as a grandfather. And yeah, he met my mom here in Canada, and we lost my mom Christmas Day in 2011, and that really devastated my dad. It was very, very hard on him. And he was her primary caregiver and really took care of her and her illness. Because my dad was my mom's primary caregiver, and that all happened at home. She died at home. And so I think when he received the news of his own illness, that's what he was comfortable with, and what he knew is he wanted to do this at home. But it became clear to myself and my brothers, and slowly to him as well, that that just wouldn't be possible. And my brothers and I offered so many times to have him in with us and living with one of our families, and we desperately wanted it, but he really was insistent that he didn't want to, be a burden on us. That's where Margaret's place really stepped in and provided such a perfect place that was really better than home in a lot of ways. His first few days in here, he was really still adjusting to not this place, but his illness, adjusting to the fact that his prognosis was extremely short. He had a difficult time with that transition. But when the staff let us know that we were able to use this space to have a big family barbecue, we were all over that. All 14 of the grandchildren were here, my brothers and their wives. We had Irish music playing on the speaker, hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill, and the staff had prepared him beautifully in a brand new shirt. And when he arrived, he said, "I'm here for my final farewell." And so we could tell that when he was back to that sort of joking and the humor that was such a part of who he was, we could tell that he had turned a bit of a corner with accepting where he was going, where he was, and to somehow, through such a negative time, to make it a positive experience. An experience where we got to spend so much really, really good quality time in a setting that really feels like home. This is unlike other healthcare facilities where the care isn't only extended to the patient, but extended to the family. When we arrived here at Margaret's place, what I realized was that we didn't have to worry about anything anymore. Our role changed to just being family, being sons, and loving our father and being there for him and with him, and being with and for each other, and giving the support to our own children and to one another to get through this. And we would have a lot of whispered conversations with some of the nurses and other staff who've been through this with so many other folks about what we ought to anticipate and what we'd be looking for and how we could best support our dad. Really, they felt that their role was to support us and to support my dad. Well, it's such a beautiful setting. And so as soon as my father was here as a resident, he was still walking around at the time. So we'd walk down into this room and look out at the trees and the birds. And he was always into the deer. The day that he passed, the staff were able to wheel him outside onto the deck that's right outside of his room. And it was a beautiful day, 21 degrees, the birds were chirping. And it was just a profound moment of peace that we all felt. Father came over and anointed him out in nature. And later on in the day, we had seen one or two deer sort of walking behind his room. And they walked around the side of the building, and we followed them out. And we looked out the window and we saw, I think, 8 or 9 deer. And I thought, I think something's happening here. And it was about 2 or 3 hours later that my dad died. And I know that that natural element was really a draw to my dad, for sure, for being here. Having my late mother's name be Margaret, and Margaret was the one who cared for my father, Margaret's place cared for my father just like my mother would have. They loved him. And so I think if you had to summarize it in a word, it would just be that the care here is the care that a family who loves their family member would provide to them. That's the care that they give here at Margaret's place. The only thing I think to say to donors is such a profound thank you. All of this only happens based on the generosity of others. When people show up and when people give of themselves in order to serve people that they'll never meet, but in whose lives they will make a profound, forever difference, is really just about care that honors the dignity of the people that are being cared for. Fundamentally, whether it's at the end of life, whether it's in old age, no matter the life cycle, this place cares for people in a way that's rooted in love and in personal dignity. And to me, that's what St. Joseph's Villa and Margaret's Place are all about.